DJ Ash Noble here, and it feels like forever since I have said that. It feels like ages since I have said that. Welcome back. This is really weird because I've not done this for just over a week. I've not done this for, which is crazy. I can't remember when I did the last stream. I know it was like just before I took a break to go on holiday, but I just can't remember when. Um, so I think if I remember right, I think we was in the music studio and I did like music updates. I think if I remember right, that might have been it. I can't fully remember, but anyway, welcome back. I am back. I am literally just back, not that long ago, from my holiday. So, yeah, I'm literally back. I'm literally home. I'm in the flesh. I'm doing well, and I suppose I'll tell you a little bit about the holiday and how the holiday went, and sort of just do some updates and reminders. Obviously, now I'm back. The music grind is obviously going to begin again, and it's been nice to break off, but it's been boring at the same time. Like I've really missed the music side of things, and it's really like just sort of like when you just sometimes you sat there and there's like moments where you think if I had a laptop right now with FL Studio on it, like I'd jump on and obviously work on a track or something like that. So the holiday. So, for those of you who may or may not know, I was under strict rules, I was under strict orders that the week commencing the 19th of August until the following week, which commenced the 26th and 27th of August, I was to take no bookings. I was to book the week off and I was to make no plans because we was going on holiday for the Manx Grand Prix over at the Isle of Man. So the Isle of Man, where the famous TT races obviously take place. And I was told under strict conditions not to book anything and make sure that I was free, so I could come on holiday, obviously for that week. So obviously I booked work off and obviously made sure that I didn't take any bookings that were going to obviously commence on either of the two weekends. Obviously this weekend that's just gone and obviously the weekend that has just passed us before. So obviously, breaking off from all of that, I also decided to take a break off of YouTube as well. There was no point really streaming. There was nothing to really stream. I did get a booking come through while I was on holiday, but I just thought, you know what, we'll just break off. I'm waiting for a flyer anyway, so there was no point really like announcing and saying anything. So I thought let's just break off and let's just sort of do like a big I'm back stream when I got back, which was literally about half an hour ago. But I haven't literally just got back off holiday from the Isle of Man as such, which I'll explain obviously as we go forward. So, let me tell you about this holiday that was about 50-50 for me. So, it was a good holiday, but it was also a really crap holiday as well. And it was like a little bit of a 50-50 for me. So, I'll explain as to why it was a sort of like a 50-50. So we set off I set off not this Friday, just gone the Friday before, and I took a train to Driffield, where I was spending the night in Driffield because it just made sense because we had to set off like mega early in the morning. We had to set off at some at like 6 in the morning to get down to Liverpool to catch the Manahan, which is the ferry that takes you across from Liverpool to the Isle of Man. Now, I was at my grandparents on the Friday night, and my dad was receiving reports that there was like bad weather, and there was like sort of, there was a bit unsure about like whether the boats were going to sail and everything, and obviously there was some boat sailings that got cancelled, and sadly said, look, it's too rough to run these boats, the wind's too high, all the rest of it. And our boat was kind of left on like we'll make an announcement at 6 in the morning. So we was kind of really in like a really like horrible sort of situation of like do we set off or don't we set off, because like them, you know, we have to set off around 6 when they make the announcement. But the thing about it is like we could like decided to stay at home, and then the boat could have obviously been running, and then we wouldn't have got to the boat in time. Or you set, you know, your travels to Liverpool and you find out that the boat is sadly not running. So we took the decision to set off and still head there anyway, because we thought, well, once we're at the like the ferry terminal itself, then obviously, you know, we might be able to sort something out. They might be able to do something to help us, you know, a little bit more than just sort of being sat at home. So we took the decision to set off, and by 6 in the morning, we was sort of well, probably about 6:10. You know, we was in the car and we was away, and they'd made no announcements regarding whether they'd cancelled our boat sailing or not. So we carried on, and we headed towards the M62, started heading towards Liverpool, and we stopped off at the Hartshead service station, so just so we could, you know, refresh, go to toilet, all the rest of it. And I then checked obviously on the website for the Steam Packet, which is obviously the company for the you know, for the boat sailing, to find out that our boat sailing had actually been cancelled. So it was a little bit like, oh, you know, this is an absolute, just a flaming nightmare. So we decided, well, we're already on our way, and like I said earlier, if we get to the boat terminal, then, you know, we might be able to like get some form of help. We might be able to, or, you know, they might be able to do something for us, or that, you know, they might have some like you know, they might have kind of like a plan B or like a backup plan. So we drove all the way to the boat terminal. We arrived at the boat terminal about 9:30. Bearing in mind our sailing wasn't till 11:45, but they somewhat like you to be at the boat terminal. Like they like you to be there in good time. So like they do like you to be there like at least a good hour before you are set to sail. And I know like 9:10 is like quite a bit early, but you know, like we just sort of like to make sure we're there, and stuff like that. So we got to the boat terminal, and there wasn't really much going on, to be honest. And if anything, there was kind of like really just not helpful at all. And they said, look, you know, all we can do is put you on a standby list to go on a later boat sailing, but it's, you know, with a vehicle, you know, there's a very minute, slim chance that you'd get on this boat. So like, you know, there's like motorbikes, and there was people that were going over to like work as marshals during the Manx Grand Prix event that was taking place, and then there was motorbikers that and even some like riders and racers that got the priority over us. And then there was like the main people that had booked onto the next boat, which I thought was a little bit stupid. I kind of feel like I can understand like the riders and the marshals kind of getting that advantage over us, but you would think like that they'd have pushed all the sailings back, so the people that sort of booked on to go on to this later boat, they get pushed back, and then we go on to this later boat. But for whatever reason, they put us on this standby mode or standby list, where you have like literally about you literally have about a 5% chance that you'll actually get on with a vehicle, depending how busy the boat sailing is, and all the rest of it. So was having a little bit of a brainstorm and thinking, well, what can we do? Like, you know, do we carry on sitting here on the off chance that we might get on? Do we go all the way back home and lose out like nearly 2 grand that my dad and grandparents had put, you know, sort of put to hire in this little bungalow over in the Isle of Man. And then we had a little idea that why don't we go to the airport and see if we can, you know, get onto a plane instead, because the boat company they was gonna refund us for obviously not traveling with them. So we kind of thought, well, you know, do we go via the plane instead, and then just sort of rely on like public transport while we're over there. So just, you know, get taxis and buses. So we drove all the way over to the airport to find out that the airport was just an absolute sack of, like, literally just an absolute sack of shit. Like, you get all the way to the airport and like there's nowhere, literally, and I mean nowhere at the airport where you can just park up for like 10 minutes and like just go and speak to someone at like a help desk. Like, the only way you're parking is to like go into a proper like car park and like pay to park. And the price of paying to park was just absolutely it was just ridiculous. Like, you were paying like near on 20 quid like just to park for like 10 minutes. So we had a little bit of a drive round the airport grounds, sort of, you know, just the road, well, the main road outside the airport. Had a look to see if there was anything before we just decided that we can't do this anymore, like just sack the airport off. So we left the airport and we decided that it's about dinner time. There's, you know, we're not really sure what we can do. So we thought all we can do is go and pull up at like somewhere and have something to eat. So we pulled up outside a Toby's Carvery that we'd seen on the way to the airport, and we get pulled up into the car park and we get out of the car to find out that my dad's now got a flat tire on his car. So we've got all of this like, oh, this flat tire. So all right, there's a spare wheel in the back. So we had to unload all the car full of all the luggage, and we had to put all the like suitcases and everything like on the middle of the floor and in the car park to a Toby's Carvery in Liverpool. And then literally after that we got to this spare wheel and we got to this nut to find out that this nut had like something on the end of it that had been like well and truly like stuck on to the point where like you couldn't get it off. Like, we was bashing it, we was you know, we was trying everything that we could with the resources that we had to try and get at this little flywheel or whatever it was, and we couldn't do it in the end. uh, so the next thing we could think of was, well, is there a garage nearby? Is there anywhere that, you know, that'll obviously change a tire for us? So we walk outside to the end of the Toby's Carvery car park to find out that there's an ATS literally across the road, like a tyre place, which was probably our first bit of luck throughout the whole holiday. So we obviously decided that, well, we're going to have to get this tyre sorted. So we went over, drove over with the flat tyre just across the road and went into this ATS and got the tyre fixed. And this, you know, cost like something like 150 quid, 160 quid or something just for the tyre, which was absolutely crazy, you know, like stupidly expensive. And then literally after that we decided that, you know, we'll go back over to the Toby's and we'll have a little bit of dinner. So we sat there and had a bit of dinner and sort of thought about the next move, what can we do next, kind of thing. So we decided to go back to the terminal, see if there was any updates, see if there was any upgrades or anything regarding our sailing. And this sort of next later boat, it was on like this announcement standby. So they was going to announce like whether this next boat was going to run or not, weather depending. And they'd make an announcement about 2:30. So we got back to the terminal and we went down and look, and we just said like, look, you know, is there any updates? You know, do you know anything about sort of our options and what we can do? You know, and they said, well, you know, providing the boat's sailing, you know, you're on this standby list, but it's a very slim chance that you'll get on the boat with your car. They said, however, if you went on the boat as a foot passenger and left the car at Liverpool, then you've got more of a chance of getting on the boat. You know, there's a good chance that you'd get on the boat and you'd obviously get over to the Isle of Man. So we had a little bit of a think, and you know, we maybe didn't like fully think it through, but we just thought at the time, look, it's our only chance that, you know, we're obviously going to get over to the Isle of Man, and you know, we're not going to lose out on, you know, you know, the money that we've obviously spent for the cottage and stuff like that. So it was kind of like, you know, the only sort of thing we could really think to do, you know, was obviously to, you know, to go obviously on as a foot passenger. So when we found out the announcement that the boat was going to sail, that, you know, they'd said, look, the boat, you know, the boat is going to sail as normal at the normal time, it's going to sail on time, and all the rest of it, we took the decision that, right, we'll go on as a foot passenger instead. So we went on as a foot passenger, and they obviously decided and said that they was obviously going to refund us so much for obviously the, you know, the mess around and you know, the inconvenience and stuff. So we was on a boat sailing that was obviously not set to sail until about, I think, about 8 o'clock at night or something like that. So from sort of being up at like, you know, and on the road at like 6 in the morning to, you know, to find out that you're gonna sail sort of round about 8 o'clock at night was obviously like you know, it was a relief that we was finally going to be sailing, but it had obviously been like a really long day and was obviously like really obviously like getting tired by this point. So we had a little bit of time to wait. Obviously we found out about 2:30 that the boat was running, and then shortly after my dad came back and said, yeah, we're on as, you know, foot passengers, you know, all the rest of it. But we were obviously sailing till about 8 o'clock, but you could go and obviously sit and wait in like in the foot passenger lounge, and you could go in there from sort of like 6:30, 6:45. So they recommended a car park where my dad could leave the car, sorry, and leave it for like, you know, a good amount of time, like if you know, going somewhere and leaving it for a good few days, which was a really good car park. It only cost a tenner, and we left the car for 8 days, which was, you know, leaving the car for 8 days was, you know, is a long time. So to only be charged a tenner, you know, to be able to leave the car for that long, was obviously, you know, that was obviously a, you know, good thing in its, you know, a really good deal within itself. So obviously coming on as foot passengers, it meant that we could only bring so much luggage. You know, we couldn't bring everything that we was originally going to bring. So it was a case of like, you know, more like what do we need, not what did we want to bring. You know, so like it was just, you know, get the clothes and get the stuff that you're gonna need, and you know, anything that you don't need to bring, leave it in the car, kind of thing. So you know, if I'd sort of let's say for example I'd packed a Bluetooth speaker, it'd be like, leave the Bluetooth speaker in the car, make sure you've got all your clothes. So we had to do all of that. And then me and my dad, we had to go and find this car park and park the car, and then we had to walk up back to the ferry terminal, which was probably about a 5-10 minute walk by the time you've like found like where you're going and found the exit to this car park, and then we went and waited at the ferry terminal and waited for the boat, and then the boat eventually came in, and we set sail sort of roughly on time, and we was on our way. We was heading over to the Isle of Man, which was a little bit more exciting. You know, it was like, you know, we're finally gonna get this holiday. You know, we was finally sort of like getting away. So the boat ride takes about sort of probably about sort of like 3 hours 15 minutes to sort of 3.5 hours. So we set off about 8 o'clock or something like that sailing, and I think I think we got there for like I think we got to the Isle of Man for I think it was about sort of like going on for like 11 o'clock or something, quarter to 11 or something like that, or 10:30 or something like that. It was a real. It wasn't like mega long, and we had like I had something to eat on the boat. I got a steak pie and chips, and we had a cup of tea on the boat. And obviously it's excitement as well. So you go onto the deck and you obviously watch as you're leaving the mainland, and I did some Facebook lives and stuff as I was leaving the mainland, and just glad to be finally away. So we got to the Isle of Man probably round about, I don't know, 10:30, quarter to 11 or something like that. Maybe a little bit later, I can't remember. And we then had to get off the boat and everything, and the boat doesn't just pull in and you walk off. Like, you've got to be like literally everything's done by instructions. So like the people who have come on cars, there's an announcement like, you can go down to the car deck now, and then there's another announcement like, this is a call for all foot passengers, make your way over to so and so, make your way off the boat. And then there's these like conveyor belts like what you see at airports, and all the luggage comes on them, and you have to wait for these little like trucks to like unload like luggage off the boat for you. So like if you come as a foot passenger, like there's certain things that like big suitcases, like you put them on the little conveyor belts, and they go like they get stored away. Whereas like little rucksacks, you can just keep them on your back, and you can take them into the onto the boat yourself, and that, which is good like that, because if you've got like any you want to pack like a phone charger or something. So we had to wait for that. And then, of course, we're over in the Isle of Man. We've got no transport. We've left the car at home, and we're staying out in a little village called Laxey. So, we thought, oh well, we'll get to the sea terminal and we'll just jump in a taxi, and it'd be as easy as that. We'll jump in a taxi. So we get all of our luggage sorted, and we get to the sea terminal with all of our stuff. We stand outside, and no taxis to be seen. Absolutely no taxis anywhere. Trying to ring numbers, and numbers are just not answering. And it's just like the next thing, like, oh, we can't even get to where we're staying now, which is like the crazy thing. And then luckily we were saved by the bell when this like security woman at the sea terminal happened to also do like minibus driving during the day, and bus driving, and her husband like owns minibuses, and she rang him up, and she asked on a favour and said, look, can we give this family a lift to to Laxey? No way of getting a taxi. And we had to pay, but we got this kind of like lift that was kind of like just done as a favor, but like it really bailed us out, and it obviously meant that we could get to where we wanted to go, kind of thing, on time. So, and get to our cottage, and we got to our cottage, I think, about going up for like 1 o'clock in the morning or something, and like my nan and granddad, they were like proper, because they're used to early nights. They're used to going to bed by like 10 o'clock, and they felt like they was real naughty, and like like, oh, we can't believe we've stayed up this late, and and it was obviously a really tiring day for them. And then we finally got settled down, had a cup of tea, and finally went to bed. Woke up the next day, and then the next day was a little bit sort of like, well, what's next kind of thing. And we sort of like, where's the nearest shop, like where can we get like some milk and stuff. And you know, they'd left us a bit of stuff at the apartment already. Like there was some tea bags, there was a bit of milk in the fridge. They'd actually even left us some butter and some cheese, which was quite nice. But there was still, you know, stuff that we needed to get, like, and it was kind of like that mission. So my dad sort of like went out quite early and had a little bit of a look around, and you know, to can we find a shop kind of thing. And there wasn't like a local shop for probably about half a mile or something like that. So there was a bit of a fair walk to the shop. It wasn't just like walking round the corner, and we was at the bottom of a giant hill. And when I say a giant hill, we was at the bottom of a giant hill, and walking up that hill is and I know because I've done it myself, not as many times as my dad had to do it, but it's a killer. It's a really long steep hill. That you know that the hill itself is easily a good well over 800 yards. It's a really long. You go up like a real steep part of a hill like that, and you go under like a little viaduct where the electric train goes on top, and then you go around kind of like a bend, and then it like goes up again even more, and you get to like the top of like a main road, and there's like a bus stop, and then you literally had to turn left, and you went right down this real long road, this real sort of like long road, and it sort of turned a little bit, um, and then you went right past the electric train station for Laxey, and then you had to carry on walking like even further, and then you eventually got to the co-op. So eventually you got to the co-op, and it was like a little co-op that probably it wasn't that good. I only went there once, and I only briefly went in and got a drink, and I was actually kind of not all that impressed by it. Like it was a really small co-op, and there just didn't seem to be a real lot happening. And I just thought, you know, there isn't really much in the way of a shop here. There's like a petrol station across the road, and that had a shop with it as well. But you know, we've not really having a car, and never really went to the petrol station. So that was a little bit of a blow in that sense. So my dad sort of came back from there and said, "Well, you know, I'm going to catch a bus into Douglas, that you know, which is like the main town in the Isle of Man, and then, you know, I'm going to have a go to the walk to the Tesco's, and I got dragged along. Uh, you know, I was kind of like, oh, I don't know, I don't really want to just, you know, because you come on holiday and you think of like dining out, and you think of having like nice times and good days. You don't think of like going and getting like grocery shopping. And I just thought, you know, like, do we have to worry about grocery shopping now? But you know, we went and had a little look down Strand Street, which is like the famous shopping street in Douglas, and you know, I've not been there for a few years, so it's what's changed, what hasn't changed, and to the Tesco's and filled a couple of rucksacks full of stuff, and then sort of like walked all the way along the full length of the seafront, so from one end to the other end, and caught the electric train back to Laxey, as we didn't know what time the buses were, or where you caught the bus to go back to Laxey at this point. And these rucksacks were really heavy, and we walked the full length of the seafront. And I remember thinking at the time, like it's actually more relaxing to stay at home at this point than it is to go on holiday. Like, you know, I feel like I'm hiking with a massive rucksack, walking for miles, and I'm thinking like I'm supposed to be like having a chilled out, relaxing, fun days on holiday, and here I am like hiking rucksacks, you know, like full of groceries, and that sort of thing. So after we sort of did all that and had a look around, and sort of went back home, and did a little bit of dinner, and then I got laid on my bed where I was staying, and the next minute I'd been asleep for a little bit, and then my dad was like, you know, we're gonna go back out and catch a bus, and go up to the grandstand and see what's happening with with the racing and stuff. And I just thought, I actually just cannot be, but I can't be arsed right now to even go, to be even bothered to go. And go back out and start walking up that hill again and going for the bus again. And I just thought, no, I can't do it. And before you know it, back to sleep again. And it was probably about 7:30, 8 o'clock at night by this point. And then I just I eventually finally got up and thought, I feel a bit peckish, what we're going to do for some food. And there wasn't really all that much we could really do, so I think I ended up having a bit of cheese on toast or something like that. And I think I had a bowl of cereal or something. We was thinking about getting a takeaway in, and then we couldn't even find one really in the area, like on the menu or anything, which was really sort of like annoying. I couldn't get my phone to work. So I'd moved over to Manx Telecom, which is like their telephone signal service over there, and my EE contract did not work apparently with using phone calls and stuff over in the Isle of Man without having to pay for a spend cap. So I put a tenner on it, and I think by about Wednesday the spend cap, like Tuesday, Wednesday, the spend cap ran out. Or either that, or I think my actual phone bill cut off because I think the bill was due. But because of the spend cap, I couldn't ring up to pay the bill. So I could literally while I was over in the Isle of Man, there was nothing I could do regarding the phone bill. So Monday was another new day, and I woke up and I actually didn't feel too good, but I just sort of soldiered on and battled through. Had a little bit of a slight headache and just didn't feel too good. Had some breakfast. Sort of, we all sort of, we got a taxi and we went down to Douglas, and we had a look down the Strand Street again, and I thought, hey, the Strand Street again. I had some. We went down to the boat terminal first of all to change the booking for coming back, because we had to alter that booking. So we actually came back to Liverpool to pick the car back up, and it was all a big stress. And then we went and got some dinner, and then I just didn't feel too good after the dinner. It wasn't the dinner's fault. I think I was already becoming unwell with something. And then we had a look round some shops and carried on sort of doing some more shopping and some other bits and bobs, and having a look around. And then decided that we was going to go up to the grandstand and watch the practice this evening. So we got a bus all the way up there to then find out that there was low fog on the mountain section of the course. So they cancelled the practice session. It was cancelled. The roads never closed. So we quickly left the grandstand, and by this point I wasn't feeling well at all. I'd had to dash into a Portaloo toilet. I'd not had a good stomach, and I literally didn't feel well. We hopped on a bus all the way back to where we were staying. And then I was sort of laid with my head against the window on the bus all the way back, just not feeling too good. And then sort of got back up to the apartment, sort of laid on the sofa for a bit, not feeling too good. And then that was it. Started with a night of being really ill, being sick everywhere, and just not feeling too well. Had probably one of the most horrible nights I've had in a long time. I just saw loads of hours of the night, sort of 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, that kind of thing in the morning, where you just wake up and you can't sleep. So Tuesday was a bit of a better day. I felt a bit better, but not totally right. Went back down Strand Street again. So went back to Douglas and went back to Strand Street again. Went into the Manx Museum and looked at my granddad's bike. And then went back up to the grandstand again to watch the practice. and what decided to, there was actually going to run it. The weather was good enough, and we caught a session of practice. So we caught a race, well, like a practice race, which was really good. It was actually mind blowing to watch if you've not watched the Isle of Man, the TT or the Manx Grand Prix. Like I recommend that you go and watch it because it's absolutely mind blowing. So the actual TT course itself is 37 3/4 miles long. So we was watching. So we watched from the grandstand, which is where all the bikes they line up and they start, and it's where they start the race. And literally, one of the, I mean, yeah, he's a top rider. But John McGuinness or Michael Dunlop, I can't remember which one it was. Anyway, they in 11 minutes, it took him 11 minutes, like, and this is what blew my mind, because when you sat at the grandstand you can hear the radio, so you can hear the commentary on the radio, and it took him 11 minutes to get to Ramsey. And Ramsey is like, by the time you get to Ramsey, like you were good way around the course, like round the whole course. Ramsey is just before you go up onto the mountain section of the course, and the mountain section of the course is like it's like the second part of the course, but it's like the last part of the course. So it's the mountain. So like you go sort of like from Douglas to Ramsey, and then you go back from Ramsey to Douglas, like down the mountain road. And it was kind of like the road. It's the road coming back to Douglas. So to get there in like 11 minutes, like, you've got to be doing some like absolutely cracking lap time. You've got to be doing some absolutely crazy speeds as well to get there that quick. And like I say, he got to Ramsey in like 11 minutes, which is like absolutely crazy. And then I think about 18 minutes it took him, and he did like a full lap of the TT course. So imagine doing like 37 miles in like 18 minutes. Like, you've got to be doing some crazy speeds. It was absolutely crazy. So we watched that practice session. It was really enjoyable to see. My phone was obviously playing up, but luckily the grandstand had like a free Wi-Fi you could connect to. So I connected up and I was going Facebook Live, and I was actually really enjoying myself. And then the second lot of practice obviously went underway, and I think it went underway for about 6 minutes. And then the racing, it was red flagged, and the race was actually stopped. Now, obviously, when the red flag a race, obviously over in the Isle of Man, this can obviously mean like, it can mean like it can mean like a whole ton of things. There can be like maybe like spilt oil on the road that's really bad. It can become like a real bad rain shower somewhere, so they cancel the racing. Or it can be obviously the worst outcome that you can get for a worst outcome over in the Isle of Man TT or the Manx Grand Prix, and that obviously can be there's been an accident. Someone's obviously come off of a motorbike. So the race was red flagged, and there was nothing for ages. There was no announcements. There was absolutely nothing, and it absolutely really, really broke, like it really broke me. It really upset me inside, because you could see like all these race teams, and all these like wives and children of like riders who were like all kind of like worried and upset, because obviously all they know is that their husband or their dad, he's obviously, he's set off from the grandstand to do a lap, and they know that he's not come in. And then sort of as things was obviously progressing, there was like riders that were coming back, and then there was obviously people that were sort of like getting relieved that their husband or that children's dad had obviously returned back. And then there was the people that were seeing all these people coming back, and it obviously wasn't their husband or that it obviously wasn't their dad that had obviously come back. And there was nothing that, there was nothing, there was no announcements or anything, and all the bikers eventually came back, and we didn't really know what to do. We didn't know when the roads were going to reopen, so we went sort of out of the back way of the grandstand, and we ordered a taxi, and we went home. And then obviously woke up the next day to an official announcement from the Manx Grand Prix that there had been an incident on the Tuesday night's qualifying, and a 59-year-old or something like that by the name of Ian Bainbridge, I think his name was, had sadly come off during the Manx Grand Prix qualifying session, and had sadly lost his life, which is a crazy thing, to witness, because obviously not that I necessarily knew like what bike he was riding or what bike number it was, but obviously I was sat in the grandstand. I would have witnessed him set off from the start line, and he didn't return. Ian Bainbridge sadly lost his life, and he had a wife and 2 kids, and he'd come off in the qualifying session, and obviously sadly died. So it was a sad thing to really say. And one thing that I've kind of like come to realise, like from the Manx Grand Prix and the TT side of things, is that it's very I don't really know how to explain it, but they put like this little announcement, like, we're sorry to hear that we're saddened by the by the death of so and so that came off in their Tuesday's qualifying session, but then like the next day, like, they're just back on carrying on like racing again, and like the other riders are going back out. And I just kind of think, like, I know it's like a bit of a pain when people like pay to come over and they don't want things to be postponed and cancelled, but I'm thinking like someone's lost their life. And I didn't know this, but apparently it was the second person during the Manx Grand Prix this year. Apparently somebody on Sunday had also died, lost their life. And I just kind of thought, like, you'd think like, did maybe like for one day, like, did maybe not run something, like, because of like, like 2 people have just died, and then they're kind of like, oh, we've got great action coming today, but it hits home. It hits home, like, and you've really got a feel for them, especially like on the Tuesday night when the race was red flagged, but you don't know why, and you've got like all these children and all these like wives and all these like relatives of like riders who are all in that same boat of not knowing, like, is it me, is it my husband that's come off, is it my dad that's not going to return back into that pits. And and when people like say, like, it really is the most deadliest sport that there is. Like, it is the most deadliest motorsport that we have on in the world. Like, people that are honestly really that stupid and ridiculous to do them speeds through towns and villages. Like, I don't know why they do it. Like, I used to think like that, they deserve a medal for doing it, but I'm thinking, like, do they actually deserve a medal, or have they actually got something loose up there? Because you've got to really honestly, like, have some balls. I mean, especially the TT. I mean, the TT, that them bikes are going even faster than, the Manx Grand Prix is like the older bikes. So the older bikes don't go as fast. So like the older bikes are lapping at about 119, 120, whereas like TT, some of them are lapping at like, like 150, 160, which is obviously just crazy. And some of them are maxing out at nearly 200 down Soby Straight, which is mad. So you've got to really obviously have some balls. So, and then the rest of the week, going back to the holiday side of things, the rest of the week was we watched some more practice, and we just made the most of not having a car really, and just made the most of not being able to do as many things that we really wanted to do. So that was kind of for me why the holiday was like a 50-50, because like there was a lot of things that we couldn't do, and we was very limited, and there was some other reasons as well that I ain't gonna go like fully into like in the stream. But I went obviously with my grandparents, and they're obviously not like like as fitting as well as they used to be, and not having the transport like really made it hard for them. And they felt beat, and they felt like they didn't really want to do anything, because everything they tried to do just felt like hard work for them. Like they couldn't walk up the hill, and then like if they wanted to go anywhere, it was ringing taxis, and then taxis were like sort of like 18-20 quid a pop, like to get back into Douglas. And then when you get back into Douglas, you've still like loads of walking. It's not like you can just go back and sit in the car for so long, or you can just sort of jump in the car and move on to the next place. It's drop you off in Douglas, and walk, and then and then all you can really do is either get like the bus or the taxi home again, and then again that's like another sort of like 20 quid, getting the taxi home. So they felt like really beat, and then I also felt quite beat as well, because I thought like I've not taken any bookings to sort of like come on this holiday, and I've obviously taken a week off work, and I shut the youth music studio for a week when there was actually people wanting to come in it, and I had to tell them I can't do this week, I have to change weeks, and I just felt a little bit like it was annoying. So yeah. And then we came home yesterday. So yesterday we sailed back from the Isle of Man. I had last night. I stayed at my nan's house, and then obviously came back to Hull today, and came back home. And yeah, so it's been about 50-50. Like there's been some days where it's been all right, where we haven't done too bad. But then, there's just been like days where I've kind of felt like, why the hell did I come on this stupid holiday? But as far as like the Isle of Man itself and the Manx Grand Prix, and like going over to the island, like give me the opportunity, and I'd go back there tomorrow. The actual island, the atmosphere, just everything about it. The boat ride is so much fun. The food places are so nice over there. Yeah, you pay a little bit more than you would on the mainland for stuff, but like just the whole vibe and atmosphere of going over to the Isle of Man is like never before. Like you can go to these like real nice hotels abroad and sunbathe by the pool all day, but I'd much rather be jumping on like old-fashioned electric trains and horse-drawn trams, and sightseeing like loads of beautiful mountain cliffs, and walking along beaches, and sitting in cafes and having pots of tea. And that is my kind of holiday, and the whole vibe of doing that kind of thing is really good over there, and watching all the bikes, and I mean like road bikes pulling up at like seaside cafes, and looking around museums and stuff. That was obviously a really good thing as well. And I'd go in a heartbeat. I mean, my nan and granddad. I mean, they won't go now. Like that. That'll be. This was their sort of like final year. But for me, like, I definitely. I'd love to go next year. I'm not saying that I definitely would. I mean, I have already like weighed out the possibility. I've already looked into the possibilities of jumping on a train to Liverpool Lime Street, and then jumping across on a boat to the Isle of Man. And I do already know somewhere where I'd be able to stay like quite cheap as well. Where we could have stayed this time, but my nan and granddad they're not good with like staircases. so that would have been like a no for them. But we have a couple of friends that own like a guest house, and they last time I was there, they said, look, if ever I came on my own, like, you know, I could always stop there. You know, it was always an option for me to stop there. So I'd obviously see if that would still be the option, and I'd get like a really good, you know, really cheap rate for obviously stopping over there. And they had like a hot tub and stuff in the garden. It was a real nice place. It was right near the centre of Douglas as well. You know, you're right near the seafront. You're right near sort of everything that you know that you want to do. In that sense, and then if there's anything else, like, you know, you can just hop on a bus kind of thing. So yeah, so like I say, came back yesterday, but actually got like back home today. So this Saturday is obviously Humber Vibe, so that's like the first gig back, and then I've been booked for an event on the 28th of October, and I'm returning to somewhere where I've already been this year. So like it's a town that I've already been to this year. It's a different venue, but it's the same. Like it's a town that I've already been to. And I ran a little competition on Instagram while I was away, and I said, look, if anybody can guess where it is, then they'll get a free copy of an upcoming track that's going to get released. The Played Alive on Excite did get a free copy, and I think two people sort of like, it was on the story for 24 hours, and I think about two people guessed it, and that like tried to guess it. One person put like a solid guess and said somewhere, and obviously it was the wrong answer. And then another person put somewhere where I'd never even gigged before. And then there was one more guess, and it said something like, it was somewhere like Bristol, and like I've never gigged in Bristol before. I've never been to Bristol. Like I was supposed to go to Bristol about like nearly 3 years ago, and like it never happened. Like the event never went ahead. I was only supposed to MC it. It was like, you know, a good while ago. It was called something like I don't know. It was something like something base or some secret base or something like that. I was supposed to MC it, and it wasn't like a massive event, but you know, it was something I was gonna do. And you know, go with the lame, and then it never happened. So there was never really like any solid guesses. I don't think people was really that interested in getting a copy of the track, to be honest. My Instagram's still full of people from the days of being put on like B Tech Grime, so they probably are interested in the latest Donk track. But there we go. That is going to do it. So I'm back. I'll be back streaming, making announcements. I'll be back doing FL Studio streams. I can't wait to hop back onto production. I can't wait to have a mix and stuff like that. And also an update on the deck situation as well. So before I was going on holiday, I was having a look around online for some decks, because obviously my CDJs have kind of like completely had it. And I was looking on a website, and I found that some XDJ 700s. They were on a website, and you could get them on finance like really dirt cheap, to the point where it was like something like 17 quid a month like each. So I obviously put two in my basket, two CDJs, but they just don't have the CD players. You know, they're like modern ones. And I like went to proceed with the order. Went to do like some like finance checks. And then like I started like to apply for some well, I left it after that. And then while I was on holiday a couple of days ago, it was kind of playing on my mind again, like I'm gonna have to sort this deck situation out when I get back. So I decided that I was going to go back to the website and put the application claim in for the finance. So I got going so far along, and it said you need your mobile phone number, you know. I don't know my mobile number, and it was quite late at night when I was doing it, so I couldn't like just ask my nan like, I'll read out my mobile number. So I had to go I had to come off of the page and go into my settings and look at what my mobile number was and copy it. So I did that, and then I went back to the page, and the page crashed and reset, and it said that like I could not like start a finance claim because there was one already in process, and then it was saying like that I couldn't go back to the original finance claim, you know, because make sure that you've got the cookies enabled, and I had cookies enabled, and it won't work. And then I tried emailing the company, and then all I got back was this email with a link saying, we see you have a finance claim, click this link to continue it. So I thought, oh cool, so I clicked that, and then it said like, you know, make sure that cookies is enabled, and wouldn't let me do it. So I felt really annoyed, and I felt really beaten. I didn't know what to do. And then I was scrolling through Facebook, and I got a notification from Bop DJ, and it said that we have the brand new RX3s back in stock, like they're now in stock. So I clicked on the Bop DJ website, and I had a look at their finance. I thought, how much is it to finance an RX3? And when I looked at like what the price to finance an RX3 was, I was only paying something like I think I was only paying something like 16, 17 quid, 16, 17 quid more than I was actually paying for the two sort of CDJs. So I'm thinking about financing the RX3. I did like a check online to see if I was like credible for the finance, you know, and it said like through these checks, like it said that I should be eligible to get the RX3. They said that like when I was doing the check, they said like have you been working for like more, you know, have you been living in a property for like more than 3 years, and I had been by this point, and then it was like are you currently working, and then yeah, I'm in a job, and then it, you know, there was a few other little things, and then they said look, you know, I am eligible for it. So I'm kind of thinking I think that, you know, they'll have to do further checks to see if I could obviously finance the Pacific one that I wanted, but it's like £48 something a month, and then you pay like £169 deposit up front, and then if you order sort of like so say if I ordered it tomorrow, and I ordered it so like before 3 p.m., like I'd get next day delivery, so like it would like aim to come like on the Wednesday. I don't know how true that is. I don't know, you know, if that just varies like where you live. Like I would imagine, you know, if you lived on the Isle of Man or something, like it would maybe be a little bit like you might not get it as quick because obviously it's got to come over on the boat. But like, you know, I'm like very tempted, and you know, like the RX3 itself, like to, you know, if you just to buy it outright, like it's nearly £2,000, and I'm just thinking like I can't afford £2,000, and I'm thinking like, well, once I've got it, I've got it. It's an RX3. It's gonna last me a long time. It's gonna do me good. It's something that I need. It's something that you know, if I don't get it, like I'm probably never gonna get one, and it'll really benefit me for a lot of reasons, you know. You know, it's not so much like, don't get me wrong, I want one because they look nice, but it's more the fact that I need one, and because I need decks at the moment, like there's no point in getting something like what I've just had that's gonna like, you know, that's only gonna last me, you know, a couple of years again, and then I'm gonna be thinking I need an upgrade, and then by the time you upgrade, you know, probably the price of like decks are gonna be like even more expensive than they are now. So I'm gonna have I'm gonna have a good think about. Well, I say a good think, like my mind is pretty made up, but I'm gonna obviously probably just see about going for it. see if I can go for it. And it should be good. It should be good. So as one of the benefits of having it is it works with Rekordbox. So Rekordbox that's the software that I use to. So when I've like got a gig coming up, I use Rekordbox to put my playlists together. So like the tracks that I'm going to play on the night at the gig, I obviously use them. Rekordbox to put them together, and then you analyze to your USB stick, in a playlist, and then when you put them when you go in the nightclub and they've got like stuff like the RX3 and the CDJs, when you put your USB stick in, you can load them playlists and you can play them and you can see the exact order. So when I'm putting a set together at home, once I put it onto the stick, I can put it into the deck at home, and then I'll know like whether it's going to work in the club or not. And then also like I can go through the whole set as well, like in the right order, without having to like keep the computer screen on to go back and look like right what track was next, because like my deck would only put the tracks in alphabetical order. It wouldn't put them in like the order that you put them in the list, if that makes sense. So like you couldn't always remember like what tune you was gonna play next. So you can literally play the playlist that you're gonna play on the night, like down to the T of how you're gonna play it on the night. And then you can set all your cue points and your hot cues, and it'll all work. And obviously it's modern, means I can like get back on with doing the radio shows again, and the live streams that I'm obviously no longer able to do at the moment because them CDJs are just absolutely full of and don't work properly. And it'll just be a really good thing, obviously, to do. And we'll see how we go. We'll see how we do things. So yeah. Anyway, that is going to do it for this stream. We are already like nearly half eight already. Where's time going? So Humber Vibe this Saturday. I'm B2B with DJ Prime. We're on the first set. So I think it's either like 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock or something. It is whenever the night starts. Yeah, so like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good, awesome stuff. I'm back in the UK, and yeah, we'll see you soon.